Hey everybody, JC here. It looks like it's time to do a rebuild on my Viking E2X. So if you'll remember, last time I flew it, I tried it on a D20. It was unstable, crashed into the ground, got destroyed. Up in the upper right hand corner of the video, you're going to see a couple pictures that show what it looked like after the crash. So I got all the parts together. So here's what's left of the original one. I chopped it off just south of the launch lug, cleaned out all the goop that was inside there. A little rough on the inside, but it should be fine. Okay, so I have a new piece of body tube. This is from a Taz. It was left over from another project. I have my coupler. It's not an Estes coupler, but it's a little longer, which is what I was looking for. New launch lug. I probably could have gotten the one off the other rocket, but I was like, who cares? Okay, new piece of Kevlar to go on to the end of the existing Kevlar. New shock cord, new snap swivel, and some weight for the nose, which I figured we'd probably need. And of course, a new nose cone because the other one was completely trashed. Now, luckily, this one was already prepped for I was going to say decoder. Was already prepped for an altimeter, so we're good there. So I just need to cut this off and get going on it. One of the things I am going to do, though, is before I glue the body onto the rocket, I am going to paint it because this is already painted. So let's go ahead and get to it. I did mark it already. So just in case you were wondering, the original E2X body tube is 9.5 inches long. Okay, this remaining part is 3.5 inches. So I need 6 inches of body tube, which is right there. So let's go ahead and so it's such a hassle getting this put together. Get this one. Now I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. Normally I would use a hobby knife or X-Acto knife to cut this, but Kevin swears by using a single edge razor blade, the idea I got from Don over at Retro Rockets. So I'm going to try it. We'll see. Worst thing that can happen is that I need to get a new piece of tube. So, there it is. I have my razor blade, and we'll see here. This is my first time doing this, so no idea how it's going to turn out. Seems to be going okay. Well, actually, let's see, it got pretty smoothly. Put this away. Take this off. And wow, that is a pretty clean edge. All right. Thanks, Kevin. Good idea. Okay, so I need to put a launch lug on there, so I need a line. Right now, because there's no fins or anything on this tube, I can pretty much put it anywhere I want. So I'll just get my tube marking guide out. And this launch lug is, let's see, how long is that? 2 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and it's going to go from the bottom of the tube. So we'll just throw this in here. Whoops. Try not to knock all kinds of stuff off the workbench. Get a pencil. Oh, I'm a righty, so I thought it was over there, but I put it over here. So we need to mark it starting from the bottom up about 2.5 inches. So there's our line. Okay. And then I'll mark it at the top so I know how far to go up. Okay, so 2 3/8 is right there. Okay. So let's get a little something to rough it up with. Okay. I'll just use a little sanding block I have here, some 120. All right, there we go. Looks nice and dull. And we'll do the same thing with the sponge plug. Okay, that should be good. We'll get some glue. I obviously need some stronger fingers. Okay. There we go. And we'll put a little of this on there. This is wood glue, of course. Oh, don't want too much. Like most people, I always put way too much glue on. Now, I have a saying that less is more, but it doesn't seem to prevent me from putting too much glue on. Okay. Now, because it's a launch lug, I'm not going to do the put it on, take it off, put it on thing. We'll just get it on there. All right, that looks right down the line. Okay, so we're good there. Even on the bottom, it is. Okay, now I didn't seem to put it on quite straight. So let's get a little glue down here on the bottom edge. There we go. Okay, that should be good. And I'll throw a fillet on there after it dries. Okay, so next thing we can do is we can go ahead and glue the coupler in here, and I've already marked the middle of it. That should be good. Okay, some glue in there. One thing I will say, with a cut-off tube, it sure is easier to get glue down where you want it. Okay, here we'll spread that around. Of course, like, as I said before, too much glue, but like most rocketeers always think, hey, more glue is a good thing, right? So let's try and get some of that excess out of there. And I can fill the gap later. I just want to make sure that the entire surface is coated. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's put this in. There we go. As with most times you put in wood glue, it starts seizing up immediately. So I'm going to make sure I scrape out any extra. I don't want it running down inside the motor tube, which would make for a big problem later when I try to put a motor in. Let's see here, you can see. So I pretty much got most of it. Let's see here. We'll get that last little bit out. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, yep. All right, so next thing would be to get this out of the way. Put that up, slice anything. Okay, don't need the glue anymore. We'll put that away. I like to clean up as I go. All right, so the next thing you do is tie on this piece of Kevlar. And I'm not really sure what the best way to tie this on is. I'm going to try a square knot. It seems like it would be a good knot to use. There we go, that looks good. Okay, I always like to put the little CA on my nuts for Kevlar anyway. Okay. Now, and then I'll put a little bit along the edge here so when I cut it off it won't fray. Now, my guess is that this knot will become a hot spot. In other words, that's the place the cord's probably going to burn. But you know, that's what happens. And you can't expect your Kevlar shock cord to last forever. I mean, even Kevlar burns up eventually. Okay, so while that's doing its thing, I'm going to tie a loop here in the end. And we'll put that fuzz out of there. Now, because I have big fat fingers, I will use my favorite knot tying tool, pair of needle nose pliers. Grab that knot, pull it around. Normally I'd probably use my teeth on this, but there we go, there's that. And then I will get out the super glue once again. Actually, I think what I'll do is I will tie this on first, so I don't actually get glue all over the place. Okay, let's see what we got going here. All right. Okay, this is 1/8 inch elastic. I bought in the sewing section of the store. It's pretty resilient. Oh. There we go. Okay, there's that. All right, now I'll put a little super glue on that. I guess technically super glue is a brand name, but whatever. Okay, I don't put glue on my elastic knots because it keeps them from stretching, because it can cause them to break. So, all right, let's tie this on here. These are typical double half hitch knots. These work pretty well, hardly ever come loose. So, okay, so there's that. So I'll nip this in the bud. Okay. All right, so pretty much all the assembly, with the exception of gluing the body tube on, is done. One thing I do still have to do is put some weight in the nose cone, and I might as well do that now before I paint it. Okay, so I'm going to put, now Open Rocket said I should put in 2.5 grams to get it to 1.3, yeah, 1.3 diameters. Because I'm putting this coupler and that glue in there, it's going to add a little weight sort of back behind where the CG might be. So I'm going to, instead, I'm going to put 3 grams in this one. Okay. 1, 3. Okay. All right, so yeah, I gotta mix it up. I guess I don't need this anymore. Okay, oh, we'll need it. Now this is kind of a pointy nose cone, so to avoid the problem of an airspace at the end, which might lower the adhesion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break off a little piece, kind of make it semi-pointy, and then I'm going to drop it in there. Perfecto. Then I will get out my handy glue compressing tool, also known as a piece of hanger. Okay, then we'll just take the rest of it into a ball and drop it in there. Boop. Oh, come on, get in there. Now, one thing you can do is you can hold it up to the light and see how good it is. You can't see this, unfortunately. How good your compression is. Looks pretty good. I mean, the air gap does not go all the way down to the end. It only goes down to about there. The rest of this right here is solid plastic. So, now this extra weight may affect its altitude a little bit, but it's better than having it crash into the ground. At least that's what I think. Okay, so wipe my clay-covered fingers off. So don't need that, I don't think. All right. So we have our shock cord all done. I'll just need to trim those knots. When that glue dries, I'll put a fillet on there, and then I will paint that yellow. I will paint that green, and I have another sticker around here someplace to go around the top of the tube to replicate what the old one looked like. And so then we'll get it on there. Okay, so when we come back, I will have these painted, and we will be ready to do the final assembly. Okay, I'm back. So I have the tube is all painted, got the band on there, and the nose cone is all painted. Now, the nose cone was quite an adventure because it turned out I didn't have any green paint. I used it all from the top 260, and then I went to 5 places before I finally found some. But it's all done, all painted, all good to go. So we just need to glue on the tube here. Make sure it fits all right. And I noticed when I was doing a pre-fit here that I did a terrible job in cutting the body tube. But, oh well, life is difficult sometimes. So we'll, I think we'll center it over this one right here. Now, normally I would roll along the tabletop here to make sure it was nice and square to the body, but not going to be able to do that since there's a launch lug on it. So I will put some glue in there, and then we'll use the old ruler method, run it up along the side, try and square it up. So, all right, so there we go. Let's get some glue out. See if I can get the bottle open this time. There we go. Okay, let's get a skewer here. We'll do some glue spreading. So let's see here. So it'll be good to get this thing back up in the air. I was very disappointed when it crashed, but these things do happen. My guess is that without the nose weight, even though it was supposedly stable, the extra thrust of the D20, as I mentioned before, was just too much for it. Okay, so let's put a little glue in here. Well, I would guess I probably put in way too much because that's how you normally do things. So I'm going to scrape most of it. Get a lot of that off there. Okay. All right, that looks good. Okay, so we'll put it on there, then we'll give it a little bit of a twist. Okay, not quite centered. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's square it up. Okay, that looks pretty good. Oh, it's looking good here. All right. Looks pretty good, nice and square. I'll fill in that gap with a little glue later. But I think we're pretty much done. We'll pass this back when we're done. We'll put it on a stand for now, if it'll fit on there with the shot cord sticking out the back. There we go. All right, so we'll just sit it like there for now. Once that gets all dried, we will, that's really straight. We'll fill in that gap and then we'll be all done. So next time you see it, it should be ready to fly. Okay, so we're all done. So here's the rocket, all glued back together. I probably should have touched up the line here with some paint, but I didn't feel like it. But I am very anxious to get it out flying again. And and I do have a little surprise. No, you are not seeing double. This is actually another Viking E2X. So when I was out looking for parts to repair this one, I came across a generic E2X kit that I had used the fins for something else. So I had everything except for the Viking fins, which I had in another box. So I was like, well, gosh, I'm already repairing one. I might as well build another one. That way, if this one has another, I'll just say accident, we have a backup. All right, so all ready to go. I can't wait to get out and fly both of them again, and we'll see what we do. Come on, D20. All right, take care, guys.